Senator Hanson.
Thank you very much. Minister, can you ask me a question? Do you believe that parents have rights in the family law court?
Children have rights, parents have responsibilities.
Senator Hanson.
No, that's not the question asked. Do you believe that parents should have rights in the family law court?
Thanks, Chair. I answered the question.
Senator Hanson.
Well, then I'll refer to the Section 51, 22 of our Constitution, where it states divorce, and it says the Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have power to make laws for the peace, order and good government of the Commonwealth with respect to 22.2 divorce and matrimonial causes in relation thereto, parental rights and the custody and guardianship of infants. It basically states that in our Constitution, parental rights. You've just stated to me about parental responsibility. That is not rights. Do you agree a parent has a right to have a connection with their child and see them on a regular basis?
The legislation that we're dealing with here, Senator Hanson, is about the best interests of the child.
This legislation, you have not taken in consideration what is our democratically constitution that we have, which states the parental rights under the section. So you have not done the right thing by the people of Australia in putting that into your bill, because that is clearly what it's about. Yes, I agree, and no one will argue the fact about what's in the child's best interest. But parents have been denied the right to see their children based on allegations and lies and what the judge determines. And I know one case whereas 6 judges denied, actually, no, they didn't deny. They allowed that parent to have access to the child. It was contested, and it took the 7th judge to overturn it. So 6 judges were wrong, 1 was right. The thing is that there are parental rights. Parents have parental rights to have that connection with their children. Where is this reflected in the bill? It's not just about the child's rights. It's also about parents, extended families, grandparents' rights. Do you agree with that? They have a right to see and have a connection with their children if they are not abusive to that child.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Senator Hanson. We believe that the best interests of the child is the most important factor.
Very poor, pathetic answer to me as far as I'm concerned. You're not answering the question because you don't even know how to answer it, and it's reflected in your bill. And that's all you've got is the best interests of the child, which goes against the UN Convention that we're a signatory to, the Declaration. You actually have disregarded the Constitution, parental rights. Your whole bill is actually going to cause more controversy between families, divisions. You're actually going to cause more problems in the family law courts with the bill that you've done here. Minister, do you have children?
Minister.
It's not really relevant to this discussion.
Senator Hanson.
Well, your answer to the question is if you have no children, you have no heart, you have no understanding of what you're talking about, because all parents have an interest. If the other parent has the child for a week in their care—
Order, Senator Hanson. Convinced it was necessarily a point of order under the standing orders, but it was certainly an appropriate reminder to everybody in the chamber to conduct the debate as respectfully as they can. Senator Hanson, you have the call.
But the fact is, sheer frustration is actually bringing it out of me, because I am not happy with what the answers that I'm getting from the minister with regards to the most important portfolio or piece of legislation that's in this parliament at the moment that has affected people's lives for decades, and the impact that it's had on parents and children and grandparents and extended families, that I'm getting frustrated at the weak excuses, which all he can say is the rights of the child. Rights of the child are very important, by all means, but when we know what happens in the court system, I think that people are looking for answers. I think our whole family law system is busted. It's done and dusted. The whole thing should be thrown out and redrafted again, because I think it's destroyed so many families, and I hear it on a daily basis. I've been associated with this since 1996, that I have been dealing with this. I have gone through it personally myself, not the court system a lot of people have gone through, but I have. I've seen my children go through it. I've seen family members, friends, people who contact me, broken, absolutely broken, destroyed. Suicides that have happened because of this, not only with the parents but also with children. Children that have been murdered because of this, because out of a sheer frustration from the general public out there who said, what is happening in that place? Why can't they see what is happening? These judges are not held to account. No one seems to be held to account. The lawyers there keep a case going purely for the money that they're getting out of it. It's become a money-making business at the behest of people that are actually losing their homes, their lives, their businesses and their families. And all we have here is failed legislation. It will continue to fail until you really address the real problems with it. And on top of that now, we see organisations and individuals using the domestic violence as an excuse to get their way, whether they're vindictive against the other parent or they don't want to see them to see their children, or they're using it for their own joy. I don't know how they can possibly do it. But that is the problem that we are having. I have letters here. I have another, emails that come through to me all the time. And I feel that this has just been buried. It has been the biggest issue that's come across my desk in the time that I've been in Parliament. And I know that David Leyonhjelm, he was dealing with it. And when he left the Parliament, he said, go to Senator Hanson. She's the only one who's actually been dealing with this. Because no other members of Parliament here, I don't believe they really take the time to really understand or debate it or discuss it or say what the real issues are involving this, because they're all terrified to mention domestic violence, false allegations, because you get held down by the Greens or you're held down by the bloody Labor Party. Excuse me, I retract that. Get held down by the Labor Party. The fact is that this is happening. You can't continue to bury your head in the sand. We have an opportunity now to make a big difference to this. The Senate inquiry, which we have, a joint inquiry into it with the House of Reps and the senators. There was 10 of us. I found out there's only 3 of us that actually on that whole inquiry who had any knowledge of it, who'd actually been through it. You might have heard it, but personally been through it to understand what is happening out there. This whole report that was handed down, everyone's sidestepping the whole issue without really going to the guts of the matter, what is happening in our family law courts. The Coalition tried to do something with the merger of the 2 courts, which I fully agreed with, because you have to have more judges dealing with these issues to get the matters heard. That was very important. You had judges sitting there doing nothing, working only 9 hours a year, if that, or a few days a year. And they were just waiting to retire to get their pensions, where people are going and waiting for years. Determinations aren't even brought down for years. Determinations aren't brought down for that period of time, and parents are sitting there waiting. Oh, what? In the meantime, the kids from this age are up to here. Or have you seen the parents who said, I was denied the right to see my child, and the child catches up with me years later and said, why didn't you fight for me? Why didn't you do something? Why aren't I part of your life? And I met a mother and daughter, a father and daughter like that. They said the courts denied me the right to see my father. Now that I'm grown up, I'm late 20s, we've actually connected. Now I understand his story. Now I understand he was denied the rights in the courts because they denied him the right to see me. And then you talk about, I said this to you before, Minister. Parents who are denied the right to see because of false allegations, the courts take the stance. Well, we better not let that parent near that child, just in case there might be some truth in the matter. No formal court case, no proof, nothing but allegations. So they denied the parent that right to see the child. And then they say, OK, we'll allow you to see your child, but you're going to have to be in a contact centre. Well, guess what? They have to wait at least 4 to 6 months, some even longer than that, even to get into a contact centre. And then on top of that, the hundreds of dollars that it costs for them to actually pay the contact centre so they can see the child. And then because it's been such a long period of time, the court takes when it goes back to court years later, because you haven't had connection with your child much at all, we must take this very slowly. We're only going to let you see the child again for maybe a few hours a night. This is what's happening in your system. Nothing in your bill really addresses this, Minister, at all. Nothing at all. And when I spoke about these health issues, guess what a father told me? He said, I have the child most of the time. He said, I can't even get a Medicare card. So when the child gets sick, I can't even take the doctor because the mother won't give him the Medicare card. Guess what? He wants the child's reports from the school to know how well they're doing. Guess what? The school won't give it to him without the mother's permission. But it's all right for the stepfather to get it. Not the actual father, the stepfather. And there's been no forms of abuse to that child whatsoever. None. So the parent who's got the child, custody of the child, has actually all access to everything. So the other parent can't get anything unless they go begging to the mother. And the government department won't give them a Medicare card without the mother's permission. So that's what I'm saying to you, Minister. Where is it in this bill that the parent who has the child, you know, a lot of these parents on welfare, they can't afford the $90 plus to go and see a doctor, whereas they might get the rebate back and help them. Where is their right to actually then have access to the Medicare card for the child? Why isn't that in the bill?
Minister.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Senator Hanson. And I think it would be fair to say, Senator Hanson, that the approach of the now Labor government and you on these matters have been divergent for a period of time, and I do acknowledge that this is something that you have been vocal about for a long period of time, but also I think it would be safe to say that the view of the Labor Party in opposition and now in government has been different from yours on these matters. The one thing I would agree with you on is that people going through these scenarios and families going through these scenarios are really difficult. And they are doing it really tough, and I'm fortunate enough that I haven't gone through it myself, but I certainly know people have and observed how much of a challenging scenario it can be for those people. That's why, in our view, this legislation is about making it simpler for people. That is the objectives of the government and what we're trying to achieve, and that is the legislation before us today.
Senator Waters.